Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? You done messed up, Ron!
Ron is right here. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'll tell you who done messed up. Ashton Kutcher done messed up. And I'm only even talking about this because I'm going to be exploring some of the overlap between Danny Masterson and his heinous behavior and Ashton Kutcher and his heinous behavior. I'm not necessarily putting these two eggs in the exact same basket, but Ashton Kutcher's close circle of friends was almost entirely composed of Scientologists who were in Danny Masterson's crew. In fact, Ashton Kutcher's assistant was Scientologist Ryan Posner, who never could have been hired in that capacity without the clearance and the blessing of Scientology's Celebrity Center president's office. So when Ashton Kutcher comes out making it sound like, golly gee willikers, he just doesn't know what the truth is in the Danny Masterson case, Ashton is full of it. And what we're going to talk about today, this is not an exaggerated hyperbolic headline that I've given this video. The headline of this video is Ashton Kutcher's lies allowed a murderer to kill again. I'm being quite literal, and we're going to discuss this. So, and the only reason this is known by people is because of Danny Masterson's role. Because Ashton Kutcher called Danny Masterson. And Danny Masterson's crew is composed of Scientologists who all talk to each other, and all this stuff gets reported. This is an example of the dirt that Scientology has on Ashton Kutcher. So let me share this screen with you guys. Let me see. Is this the best way to share it? Okay. Ashton Kutcher testifies in the Hollywood Ripper murder trial. In 2001, Ashton Kutcher was pursuing a dating relationship with Ashley Ellerin when she became one of Michael Gargiulo's alleged murder victims. By the way, this Michael Gargiulo, he's already been tried, convicted, sentenced to death. He's on death row. He's a serial killer. He's a serial killer. Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend at the time, some might argue not quite girlfriend, they were just dating. They'd been dating for a few weeks, was murdered by a serial killer. Now, look, that's horrible. I mean, in a vacuum here, I'd be very sympathetic to Ashton for having experienced anything like this, right? I mean, but let's keep going. Okay, on Wednesday, Kutcher took the stand in the so-called Hollywood Ripper case to tell his story of what happened that night. Kutcher testified for about 35 minutes at the courtroom. He spoke about going to Ellerin's home the night she was killed because he was supposed to be picking her up for a date. Kutcher said that he last spoke to Ellerin around 8:24 p.m. on February 21st to tell her he was running late. Ellerin was using a friend's phone. Kutcher says, I recall the time because our phones were very old and I showed the detective the phone number of the friend. Okay, fine. Around 10 p.m., Kutcher said he decided to go to the house because he realized it was late and called both Ellerin's phone and her friend's phone with no response. He arrived between 10:30 and 10:45 and noticed the security gate was open. He walked into the front door and knocked, but no one answered. He figured she'd left with her friend because he was late. Since he was trying to take her on a date, he said he didn't want to appear overeager. However, he realized all the lights were on, despite the front door being locked, and knocked a couple more times with no reply, figuring maybe she was upset with him. I thought it was odd all the lights were on. I didn't want to be the guy looking through her window. Then I saw what I thought was red wine on the carpet. He thought it might have been spilled wine from the party. After Kutcher found out what really happened to Ellerin, he called the police since his fingerprints were on her door and was admittedly freaking out. However, Kutcher was never considered a suspect, according to the police. Gargiulo was charged with Ellerin's murder, as well as the murder of Maria Bruno. Well, Maria Bruno was murdered much time after Ashley Ellerin was murdered. Now, here's the thing. Ashton Kutcher lied about not knowing that she was lying dead on the floor in the house. He lied about it. It's a pretty big lie. Now, he didn't lie about it because he had a role in it. Ashton Kutcher was not he did not play a role in the death of Ashley Ellerin. But because Ashton chose, let me gather my thoughts here. What really happened is Ashton Kutcher showed up to the house to pick Ashley Ellerin up for her date. He opened the door. He walked into the house. You could not see the body on the floor from the entryway to the house. He walked into the house. He looked over to the area where he saw her dead body lying on the floor. She was stabbed like 47 times, covered in blood everywhere. Freaked out, left the house, and for about the next hour sat in his car outside the house, calling various members of his team for advice on what the hell to do. And his team advised him that he should not call the police. He should not be the one to report this. It should not be known that he was there. He doesn't want to be the one who discovered the body. That 70s show was only a couple years old at this point. Ashton Kutcher was not a household name. They essentially said, this is all you'll be known for. People will think you did it, all this kind of stuff. This will be what people think of when they think of Ashton Kutcher. You don't want that. Go to the party. Go to the party that you were picking Ashley up to take her with you to. Go to the party and then go home. Now, I'm not making any representations that these are the exact words that were spoken. I'm not even naming the members of Ashton's team that he called. But there's someone else that he called. Danny Masterson. He called frickin' Danny Masterson. That's how close these guys were. In fact, the night before Ashley was killed, Ashton and Danny and some other people from that 70s show were hanging out at Ashley's house. Okay. So where am I going with this? How did Ashton's lies allow a murderer to kill again? The police knew who had killed Ashley Ellerin. They could not prosecute the killer because Ashton Kutcher's lies about discovering the body, saying that he didn't, his lies about the whole thing created so much reasonable doubt, would have been used by the defense attorneys to create reasonable doubt to get the killer off of the murder charges, that they chose not to prosecute the person that was their number one suspect for the murder. The police knew Ashton Kutcher was lying. They knew he couldn't have seen anything on the carpet from the windows outside of the house. They knew the only way Ashton Kutcher would have seen anything on the carpet was because he walked into the house. He lied about not entering the house. And I'll call your attention to an excerpt from a different article here where he specifically says, bear with me here. I remember the next day after I heard about what happened, I went to the detectives and said, my fingerprints are on the door. I was freaking out. So even when Ashton's talking to the press here, he's still lying. I didn't know there was something wrong until the next morning when someone told me. And I went, oh, I went to the detectives. See, the detectives didn't even call Ashton. If Ashton had called the police instantly and had not acted so suspiciously, had not lied, had not covered up, the police would have been able to prosecute the killer of Ashley Ellerin. And he would not have been able to go on and kill again. By the way, the next murder this guy committed was not even the one that he was caught for. It was an attempted murder after the next murder he committed, where the victim escaped. And this murderer, I forget his name. I mean, I guess it's right here somewhere. Doesn't matter. Gargiulo. Gargiulo had accidentally cut himself in the process of trying to murder this other woman. And so when she escaped, that woman ended up having both of their DNA on her. And this has been thoroughly covered. There's been a book written on this subject. What's never been uncovered is that Ashton Kutcher's lies that he was telling to protect his, out of a greater concern for his career, his budding career, allowed a killer to walk free and kill again. Danny Masterson knew this. All the other Scientologists around Ashton and Danny knew this. Scientology Celebrity Center President's Office knew this. And this is an example, just an example of what I mean when I say Scientology has a lot of dirt on Ashton Kutcher. Imagine seeing your girlfriend's apparently dead body on the floor, and your first thought isn't, I should call the police. Your first thought is, how's this going to affect my career? And you actually leave the house where your girlfriend's dead body is sitting there, and you go to a party. You go to a goddamn party. And then you go home and you wait to find out. And then you approach the detectives. Now, I don't know. I haven't done the math on exactly how many years transpired between the murder of Ashley Ellerin, who was Ashton's, girlfriend at the time. I say girlfriend, dating. And when he actually testified in court, it looks like it could have been almost 17, 18 years went by. Because realize the other murders weren't committed until much later. So it never really came out that Ashton was the reason they couldn't prosecute that killer for Ashley Ellerin's murder. How disgusting is that? So, these are facts as they have been relayed to me by people who were present and involved in the conversations that took place between Ashton and Danny and other Scientologists. So if you're thinking, my God, you can't say these things, Ashton could sue you. Well, I wish Ashton would sue me. Because if he did, then depositions would be taken of all of the former Scientologists and current Scientologists who have personal knowledge of these goings on. And then everything I'm saying now wouldn't just be accusations from a guy on the internet. They would be a matter of official legal record. So it's why I'm not worried about any repercussions for saying these things. It's about time somebody did say these things without fear of repercussions. And yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's a pretty big tip. I'm not saying it necessarily gets worse from here. The things that I'm aware of are not quite as egregious as this, but I will tell you this. When you look at all of the attacks that Danny Masterson has made upon various women, there are a common cast of characters, of which Luke Watson is a pretty major, consistent member of that cast. Luke Watson is a second-generation Scientologist. His mother was the president of the Celebrity Center, Susan Watson. Luke Watson was in a long-term relationship at one point with Lisa Marie Presley, also a second-generation Scientologist. Luke Watson is an accomplice and an enabler of Danny Masterson in his attacks against women. And all I'm going to say for right now is that Luke Watson also makes pretty regular appearances in a lot of the trouble that Ashton Kutcher has gotten up to. And this is what I mean when I say Scientology has all the dirt on Ashton. You know, for a guy who spent so much time in such close proximity to such dedicated Scientologists, it's a wonder Ashton himself never just went full, went full hog in Scientology. And he didn't. He did dabble in Scientology, but he was never like really a Scientologist. And yet he still put himself in a position where Scientology has all the dirt on him. So that's really all I have on this. By the way, guys, stay on the stream. As soon as I end it, we're going to auto direct to a live chat that I'm going to do with Andrew Gold on his channel. All right, everybody. Well, actually, maybe I should just take a quick second to look at some of these comments. That would be rude of me if I didn't. So give me one moment here. Devin Laura, I've been wanting to ask you about what Ashton knew about Danny's crimes, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. Indeed. Indeed. Thank you. It's my pleasure. More to come on that. The good Capu. I bet with all the videos you're doing, Scientology is really regretting not letting you win city council to keep you busy. Love your daily videos. Yes, absolutely. If I had won my city council election, I would certainly not have as much time as I do to really give it to Scientology as strongly as I have been. I'm sure they are regretting it, but regret isn't really regret isn't really something they're capable of feeling over there, you know. But anyhow, thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. All right, it looks like that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Hang in there for the redirect to Andrew Gold's channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe